What's up, y'all? It is approximately 3:17. Can't fall asleep. So what better time than to record a video? It's gonna be a good one. Alright guys. So today's video, we're gonna tackle the waiting season. How to navigate it, what's it like, some tips, like what do I do in this waiting season. And I didn't want to make a video once I was finished. I don't know, I just felt led to share this video, to make this video while I'm still in that waiting season. I don't know who's this going to encourage. I don't know if this is just a diary for me to watch later and see like, hey, look how far you've come. But I'm gonna make this video. And so the waiting season is just such a tough period, honestly. I think it's really one of the hardest things. I think let me start from the beginning. What is the waiting season? The waiting season is just when you know you have a promise from God, when you know that you're looking forward to something that it's been prophesied, it's God's told you this, yet you can't see it, right? You may get a little glimpse of it, you may dream about it, whatever, but you're still not there yet. And I think the thing about the waiting season, what makes it so tough is that where you are now and where you want to be, or where you've received the promise like to be, you're just like, I want to be there. And that makes the waiting season that much harder. And for me, it's difficult because so far I think this waiting season is like 2 years in, and it makes it that much more difficult. And so how do you stay faithful in the waiting season, in the face of a promise, and knowing that like, hey, I might not be there yet, but I'm working towards there, or God got my back, or I'm gonna get there one day. How do you stay faithful? And for me, a big part of staying faithful is one, continue to do God's work. If you were doing something before, if you were serving in a capacity and everything, serving in that capacity still is important, right? Don't just receive a promise from God and be like, oh, forget this. No, it's still your responsibility. And I think that it shows God your character. It shows God how you are, how you will be once you do receive that promise. I think that's very important because we never want to find ourselves in a place where God blesses us, but we forget who he is after he blesses us, right? Or we get the new job and now we stop praying to him. We get the finances we've been praying for, and now we don't know who he is, or we don't tithe. And so I think staying faithful in the before is very crucial to help you in the after when you get to that promise, because the character, the integrity, like all of that stuff that you have here is going to translate. And so if you are not doing a good job there, it's going to prolong that waiting season, right? And I think the best example of this is the Israelites in the wilderness, right? A trip that was supposed to take a couple of days ended up taking like 40 years. And it's all because of how they were in that wilderness, how they were in the in-between, how they were in that middle place. And I believe that if they would have just postured themselves in a different way, it would have been faster and everything. So I think the way that you are before matters, but the way you are in it matters as well. And I was just doing this devotion yesterday. I was doing this devotion, and in the devotion, it was just saying like, you can't control the circumstances that happens, like the things that happen to us, we can't control that. But what we can control, what we do have control over, is our attitude and how we respond to those things, to circumstances. And I believe your attitude in the middle is so important, right? When things begin to happen, when it's been 2 years and stuff, how is your attitude? How are you reacting to these things now? Are you, and I get that it's very difficult, and it's annoying or whatever having to wait. Nobody wants to wait. Nobody likes waiting. In this world where fast food is a thing, instant message is a thing, like instant gratification is a thing, nobody likes waiting. But I think in the waiting, there is something that God is trying to teach us, right? In the waiting, God is trying to teach us patience. In the waiting, God is trying to build our character. Like He doesn't just have us in the waiting season for no reason, right? Because He can't take you from where you were before and just bring you to where you want to be without some growth, without some things you've learned, without fighting for it. Because when you fight for something, when you've grown through it, now you can handle it, right? And God doesn't want to give us anything prematurely, right? God wants to make sure that, hey, if I give this to you, I know it's because you've waited for it, you've prayed for it, you fought for it. You're gonna take care of it. You're gonna appreciate it, right? Because when we get these instant gratification things, we tend to devalue it, right? But when we wait for something, when we say, I've been praying for 3 months, I've prayed for 2 years for this, we begin to appreciate the value of what God has now blessed us with, right? Now that we're out of the season, we appreciate it so much more. The testimony is that much bigger for us personally because of the waiting season, right? There are some things that we've had to learn, some integral characteristics we had to pick up that is so crucial for that season, right? And so I want us to make sure that our attitude remains, our posture remains the same. God, I'm still your humble servant. God, I still think you're faithful. God, I still bless your name. Why? Because it's you don't want to show face. You don't want to show face, right? You don't want to show a bad attitude. You don't want to come off on great. Like it's important for your after, right? It's important to get to that space. A big thing that helps me out with this whole waiting period. There's this book I've picked up, and it's called The Space Between. Right, I'm gonna put the link in the description box for you guys. But The Space Between, right? When you're in the waiting period, get advice. Get advice from someone who's been in that waiting period. Get advice for someone who's doing it, who's been pushing, who's been through it and everything, or going through it honestly, because like the Bible tells us, right? One can chase away 1,000, but two can chase away 10,000, right? And so when you have a partner who can encourage you in that waiting season, who can push you in the waiting season, it's important. And so back to the book, it's just great advice. And in the book, Sarah Connor just gives her waiting season, her waiting season, and how she navigated it. And it wasn't always pretty, but she got through, right? And she was able to write a book out of it. So I encourage you guys to definitely reach out, get that book if you feel like you're tired, you don't know how to navigate this waiting season. I'll definitely say pick up a book, grab some advice, read something. Like, don't just do it alone. And I think the most important book for while you're waiting is the good old fashioned Bible. Like, it never fails, right? Every time there's just always something in here for everyone, every situation, and everything. And the Bible is very crucial in this waiting period. The word is so crucial because there are times where you need to remind yourself, right? Jeremiah 29 verses 11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper and not harm you, plans to give you hope in the future, right? When you are in those moments and you read such a verse like that, you're like, yo, God is not here to hurt me. God is not doing this. God doesn't have me waiting because he wants me to lose hope, because he wants me to be sad or anything. No, but what he is doing is he's being intentional and he's building you, right? The Bible says that he has plans to give you hope and a future, right? One of my favorite Bible verses is like, if the evil father can give you good gifts, how much more will your father give you? Like, he knows what we need, right? And so I think it's very crucial that you get in your word, right? Why? Because not only does it encourage you, but this is another way God speaks to us. And so in a time where we need clarity, in a time where we need hope, in a time where we need encouragement, you can read the Bible and receive that. You can read the Bible and just get what you need, right? Sometimes we need that extra push. Sometimes we're like on the brink of giving up, but then we read that book and we're just like, yo, all right, cool. I can do this. Like, I can make it another day, right? Joy is coming in the morning. So I think that is just very important. And while you're waiting, reach out to someone. Definitely reach out. Um, it's important. I know for me, in this period of time, at least in the beginning of the waiting, I didn't really navigate it as well. And what I did was I would isolate myself, and the responsibilities I did have, I would just kind of just put it on the back burner because I'm so like focused on the overthinking of what do I need to do and everything. And I'm even like a few days ago, I've received like very disappointing news that I was kind of looking forward to. And it kind of like, it affected me. I'm not even going to lie. Like, it affected me because this was just one of those like, finally, like it's finally something's good is happening. Um, but it ended up not being what I thought it was. But because of my community, because of people I was able to share with and everything, it's made it easier. And I found myself relying on God more. I found myself speaking to God more about it around this time. And so while you're waiting, lean on God. Like, trust in Him because He wants to walk you through this process and He doesn't really want you to do that alone, right? He's created you. He's known everything about you, like you're intricately made. And so He wants to make sure that He is a part of the waiting season, right? And I think what we tend to do is we're talking to Him in the beginning, and in the middle, we don't hear anything. And then when we get out of it, we're like, whoo, God. But like, no, walk with God in it. Like, fear no evil, because He's walking with you. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that'll be my like last advice. While you're waiting, talk to God. Because if you're talking to God, He's gonna lead you through it all. So that's all, guys. It's what's up? 3:30 now. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope this helps someone. Uh, Leave a comment below if you have tips on the waiting season. If you have questions about the waiting seasons, if you still like are learning to navigate, if you have some books, like drop it down. I want to see it all because it is gonna help me as well. Like, I'm still in this waiting season, and so you don't know who you're gonna help. So later, guys. I love y'all.